Hi everyone, number one Marmaduke fan here. Got a comic today and read it in one sitting, and this is a high recommendation. You should be checking this out. This is going to tie into a lot of things I've talked about in my manga reviews, where I've looked at hundreds of manga to try to make observations on the industry. And kind of the basic argument I've always made is try to learn the good things from manga. Like a lot of art students have the story where they drew anime characters and their art teacher freaked out because they were drawing everyone with big anime bug eyes. And I half sympathize with the art teacher, because you don't want to just like copy the superficial aspects of manga. You want to learn what makes the manga good comics and adapt that into your style. And Kyung Lee, I think, is just doing a fantastic job of taking inspiration from manga to make Western comics that genuinely capture the exciting feel of what a manga is. I'll flip through it to show you some little details of what he's doing artistically, but top tier art. I'll talk a little bit about the story and themes as well, and offer a couple constructive criticisms. Now, the asterisk for my constructive criticisms is I'm criticizing an artist who's better than I am. So, Kyung Lee, I love your work. I'm so happy with your work. Don't take that as shade. Top-notch artist, but I do have a couple little quibbles I've made. So, I got the second offering of this. I missed the first offering, but I was able to get the first printing with the special cover for this one. I really like this. I'm going to save it in a nice thing and basically like never touch it. It's printed on nice paper throughout. The second printing is printed on newsprint, which I think is a nice change of pace. I read the newsprint one because there's something nice about the soft feel of newsprint. Let's take a quick look at some of the extras. So this is a bonus pinup illustration by Kyung Lee. Dig it. And some trading cards. I don't remember if I got the complete set of trading cards or what the deal with that was, but whereas Doug TenNapel did like stats and factoids on the back of his, they do a neat thing where it's like a monochrome on the back and some artist information. So it's like virgin art and then info on the back. I wouldn't even mind if you put the title on the back as well. So the card's completely virgin art. But we've got Matthew Cawson for Breacher versus Saya. And we've got Matthew Cawson as well for the Bombshell card. No, that's not the Bombshell card. That's just Saya. Okay, the Bombshell card is drawn by Elliot Fernandez. This one, BMKB, is drawn by Matthew Weldon, whose art I've shared before. Really cool guy. And then 3 with art by Kyung Lee, so of two of the secondary characters, and a hollow foil card. Very nice. So I'm glad I got the nice edition of it. This is a comic I'm very happy with. So when I read the comic and I'm very happy with it, I'm proud of myself for having bought the very nice edition. So with that, let's hop into the story and make some observations. So observation number 1 is that Kyung Lee actually pays attention carefully to the manga medium, and including some small details of what manga authors do to build rapport and get people interested in their work. So something I always do when I read manga is I read the little artist comments that they have. And what I think the purpose of these artist comments is to build rapport with the readers, get readers interested in you as a person, get them interested in the manga making process. And this is really, it's the Japanese equivalent of what Stan Lee used to do with the Stan Lee soapbox, where you get people not just interested in the story, but they also get interested in supporting you as a person because you seem cool, basically. Let me just read this because it's good stuff. This is my first comic, and I'm so thankful to all my supporters who made this book possible. Battle Maiden Knuckle Bomb is my attempt to bring a lot of what I love from manga into domestic comics. Successfully, I'd say. BMKB is primarily inspired by fighting games and tokusatsu film genre. The tokusatsu film genre that consists of Super Sentai, superheroes, and kaiju. As I continue to produce Battle Maiden Knuckle Bomb, I'm sure a lot of my readers will notice these influences in my work. As a gaijin creator, I will do my best to capture some of the essence of Japanese comics in my books, even though my Japanese isn't all that great. Thank you so much to my family and friends for their patience and support, and to my backers on Indiegogo who funded the creation of this book. And then some trivia about coronavirus making toilet paper expensive. All right, so just a fun, simple little thing. He also does some other neat little bonus illustration stuff that I've seen a lot of manga artists use to just kind of like flesh out the world and make the character give like a fun dimension to the characters. So it starts in media res with Saya in the middle of a dangerous situation, and she flashes back and kind of remembers her experiences leading up to this. Vinyl record scratch. Yep, that's me. You probably wonder how I got myself into this situation. So observation number 1 is that Kyung Lee is not afraid to draw a beautiful woman kicking butt. And I've said this about American superhero comics. The American superhero comic genre is about beautiful men and women in skin-tight suits kicking butts. A lot of popular Japanese battle manga also have this like over-the-top, like sexy young boy and sexy young ladies kicking butt and saving the day appeal to them, because there's something universal to that. It's not just Americans who like people in skin-tight suits kicking evil guys' butts. Everybody likes people in skin-tight suits kicking evil guys' butts. So that's an aspect of Saya's character. Jumping ahead, so after kind of like the little introductory thing, we flash back and see her life experiences. And one of the things I love is that Kyung Lee thinks about martial arts, like specific details like joint manipulation and strong side kicks with some good weight behind them. So he's clearly taking inspiration from real world martial arts and tying in the theme of real world martial arts to kind of like the morality of the character. What makes a hero as they're kicking ass? Well, he connects kind of what it takes to actually kick ass with what it means to be a good, diligent, determined person. So her sensei says, as a great man once told me, it's not always the fastest or strongest that wins the match. Sooner or later, the one who wins the match is the one that thinks they can win. And then this guy kind of has like a skeptical attitude toward that. What happens if they both think they can win? And Saya kind of offers like a nice nerdy explanation of it. Then mentally, they're both equal contenders. The point is, if you've resigned yourself to a losing attitude, your chances of succeeding are slim to none. That's kind of neat. I kind of like that this guy has like a bit of a weak jaw. Inspector guy, I forgot his name. I'm sorry. I usually read so carefully. I know their names. Joe Kazama. Joe Kazama with the sexy goatee. He has kind of a stronger jaw. That's kind of fun. So theme number 1 is we've got a beautiful girl who's going to end up kicking ass, but she doesn't just magically start kicking ass. She's had like a life in martial arts, and even though she's had this life in martial arts, she's not sure she wants to do martial arts for her whole life, and she's kind of struggling with the death of her father. Like, it's happened a while in her past. She's not like emotionally distraught over it, but it seems like there's still kind of like this loss in her life and maybe like a lack of direction. She's not sure what she wants to do. So constructive criticism number 1, I think in several places the font is almost dangerously too small to read. So this looks to me like it's about 8.9 point font, and that's getting into like straining and getting close to read it territory. Now, I forget the Japanese term, maybe it's like tankobon or something, but those tiny little books that, you know, all the libraries have, if you were to shrink this down to that, like, I'm sure it would become completely illegible. So I guess it's good that it's the size, but I feel like you're on kind of like dangerous territory where everything needs to be a little bit bigger to be easily legible, especially some of these. And a second thing that might help with that is punchier dialogue. So let's read this. Somewhere in Kaigan City a few hours later. How did this happen to me? Who did this to me? Why can't I remember? When I get my hands on whoever is responsible, they're dead meat. I'll kill them, but they won't be. But it won't be quick. They'll die slowly, painfully. All right. So my thought is, have everything punchier. I probably go to the opposite extreme where I hate having more than one sentence in a speech balloon. Like, I don't want more than 2 or 3 sentences in a speech balloon if I can help it. But maybe like finding a way where if you have 2 sentences that say something, ask what's the key idea and see if the 3 sentences can become 2 sentences or the 2 sentences could become 1 sentence. Because the only other option you would have is to make everything bigger and to increase the font size and cover more of your art. So either that direction or go the direction of maybe like trimming some of the wording down a little bit. And I kind of noticed throughout, it's a very verbose comic. A lot of dialogue. It never was to the point where I was just like, I'm so sick of this, blah, 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 blah. So he did a good job balancing it, so it's never that wordy, but there's a pretty consistent feel of like a lot of language to describe what's going on. And I feel like your art is so successful and your art is so punchy that you don't, I don't think you need quite like paragraphs to describe what's going on in some sections. So this is your first comic. Yeah, that's really the substance of my constructive criticism. Be a little punchier, be a little bit more brief and snappy in some spots. Second constructive criticism is, I think a lot of Kyung Lee's talent shows up in his battle scenes, but I feel like the talkie scenes, he has a tendency to do like straight on angle, straight on angle, straight on angle, straight on angle for some of it. And then when he gets to the battle scenes, he starts pushing all the dynamism up and, doing the crazy angles. Find some good cheats to maybe bring in a little bit more, I don't know, like I call them like high angles, low angles, upside down angles, Dutch angles. Mix in a little bit of that into the talkie scenes to give them some visual punch and flair too. But when we fast forward and I show you the dynamic scenes, this is top notch art, fantastic, 10 out of 10 art overall. Hopping ahead. So I marked this because, there's some near nudity. You see some butts. She gets wound up, caught up in like her uncle is doing experiments, and then the bad guys decide he's going too slow. So you better like figure out how to solve this problem, or your daughter's going to die. Give her the super serum and see if your niece is going to die. Give her the super serum and see if she stays alive. Right, that kind of classic setup. So her uncle gives her the super serum, and he's able to save her life and give her the superpowers. While that's going on, she has a flashback to a formative experience. And I love how the memory of her father is a very masculine figure, and her father represents kind of like a masculine voice, which is what she needs to overcome these physical challenges. I know you're frustrated and hurting, but crying and throwing a tantrum will not help you overcome this trial. Understood? Hi, Papa. Life is full of hardships. You cannot allow your emotions to dictate your actions. Keep deep breaths, Saya. Control your ki. This is great because this is about emotional self-control, being connected to the martial art, and then she's remembering this formative experience when she has to control herself emotionally in a horrible situation. The other thing I really like about Saya is she talks about how at the back, her cousin is in wrestling and she loves wrestling, but she doesn't have the figure for wrestling. She's been a martial artist all her life, but she doesn't have like this big bodybuilder physique she needs for professional wrestling. Then when like the horrible circumstances happen and she's given superpowers, she kind of freaks out. So maybe like one school of thought for superpowers is having superpowers is amazing. It's the most fun thing ever. And another school of thought is it sucks and no one would want to go through this kind of like terrible traumatic experience. And so for her, this clearly sucks. She gets kidnapped. She gets caught up in like this evil network, drug runner, super soldier thing. And she is not having fun. She's freaking out. She's scared she's going to become a monster. I love that because she's having a really human, very normal reaction to this horrible circumstance. And when she gets like her big buff physical body, like that's the effect of the super soldier serum. Like maybe like one girl in a million girls, born with kind of like, and this is true of young men too. One person in a million is born with that big buff super soldier body naturally. She's been a martial artist all her life, and she still needs like a act of fate to turn her into this super powerful being. So I really dug that. I do want to show you just a couple pages of the battle sequences, actually. So the big monster shows up, and you can see a lot, excellent work adding visual emphasis to the battle scenes by, having a big pull-away panel to show us the big monstrous monster, lots of great kicks and flips. It's just really fun to read, and it's very exciting because of that. Okay, another thing before I forget it. Another thing Kyung Lee does is he looks at the details of how manga artists put together the visual effect of everything. So because this is in black and white, one thing that you can add is some grayscale effects to give it a bit more of a painterly feel. So in a lot of modern manga, they'll use digital ink tools to save them time and to kind of add like flair and texture to everything. So sometimes it's like halftone dots, sometimes it's like little sketchy lines, and of course like the action lines re-emphasizing the motion, that kind of stuff. And they're actually like now digital, they used to have to hand draw all of this, but now there are digital tools that let you do some of this. Kyung Lee is very good at using these subtly so they don't distract from his line work. And my thought is use them like you're painting, where if you're painting, you want the composition to be clear, you want to see everything, and then you want your cool little paintbrush marks to add flair and texture to everything, but you don't want your brush marks and your texture distracting, right? Like, oh, look at the texture of the skin. Yeah, but you can't see anything, right? You want to see the composition. So Kyung Lee is doing fantastic. And what's really amazing about this is in Japan, it's a studio of like 3 to 10 assistants doing all that. And I think you're doing this all by yourself, right? Right? Man. So it's really dope. I guess I'm going to tie this up with a little bow. Rather than just like imitate a couple little details from manga, Kyung Lee is looking carefully at the fabric of manga, including like how they do the painting, how they do kind of dynamic panel composition, the human figure, gorgeous human figures, gorgeous muscular figures, Japanese sound, and then some little bonus neat things like Japanese sound effects and such, right? But rather than just copying a couple little superficial details from manga, he's correctly identified what make manga exciting comics and is producing a top tier 10 out of 10 artistic experience. So I feel like I said everything. Like the only things I like to see tweaked is maybe a little punchier dialogue and maybe a little bit more, I don't know, excitement brought into the talkie scenes. But 10 out of 10, so happy I backed. I guess there are more like t-shirts and cards coming. Where's his Twitter? @RuneFaust. All right, go check him out. So happy with this, worth every penny. Look for the next campaign, and hopefully there'll be opportunities for you to get issue 1 when issue 2 comes out. And I guess issue 1 is actually 48 pages, right? So it basically collects 2 issues worth of content in chapter 1 and chapter 2. Fantastic bang for buck. Happy with it. Love it, love it, love it. Good job, Kyung Lee. You are showing how to properly take inspiration from the manga industry. You clearly love the genre, and that love is showing in the passion that you're bringing to your work. Fantastic work. I'm #1 Marmaduke fan. Love you guys. Catch you later. Do, 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 do.